I'm J.B. Milliken. I'm the Chancellor of the City University of New York. And we are going to shift gears a little bit. There have been some great panels this morning. There are going to be a couple of great panels following this. This gives us a chance to kind of transition to higher education in New York. And I have the opportunity, and I'm very grateful to City and State, to use this moment to talk a little bit about what CUNY's new direction is and what we think about the future of public higher education in New York City, which I know everybody in this room cares deeply about. And maybe this will serve as a little bit of a platform for the next panel, which has some distinguished members. And if you need any evidence of the quality of CUNY and the kind of students that we attract, on the next panel, my friend and colleague, Chika Onyejukwa, will be representing CUNY, and she'll do a terrific job. So that means you can't disagree with very much I say today, Chika. No, please do. She does, and she does a great job at it. So we're at about the start of a new school year. So this is a moment filled with excitement and optimism. We see this demonstrated across CUNY every day with a group of students that this is especially meaningful for. I'm going to tell you a few things about CUNY just to set the stage, which I know you know, and then talk about why we are planning to do what we are doing at CUNY today. First of all, the average age of undergraduates. We used to talk about traditional students, non-traditional. In this country and at CUNY, there's really no such thing anymore as a traditional college student that we think of as 18 to 22 years old. At CUNY, the average age of our undergraduates is 24 years old. And for many of them, just getting into college has been a hard-fought battle and a great badge of success and effort. 40% of our students are the first in their families to attend college, and about 40% of them were born in another country. So CUNY is this living place that brings people, invites people, welcomes people to this country and gives them the tools and the education they need to be successful and support their families. And 50% of the students at CUNY come from families with households of $30,000 or less. So it's so important that the mission of CUNY for 170 years and still today is to provide access, to open the doors of opportunity for these students who might not have that opportunity otherwise. But it is more challenging today, I would submit, than it has ever been before. That we have new challenges in the 21st century that we have to address, that we have changing requirements for our students, and we have new funding stresses at CUNY and across the country for public higher education. So what we have done in the past, and I think done pretty well, is not good enough. It's not good enough to meet the demands of an increasingly competitive, globalized knowledge economy, which is on steroids in New York City. So I'm happy to say that through the work of the Board of Trustees of CUNY, and there are several of our trustees here today, our college leadership and several of our college leaders here today, and the talented faculty and staff, I believe that CUNY is being transformed today to prepare our students for that future. So we start with the premise that there has never been a time in history, despite what you hear, despite some of the polls, despite what some Silicon Valley executives might suggest, there has never been a time in history when higher education was more important than it is today. For individuals, it can mean the difference between being well-employed or underemployed or unemployed. According to one statistic, within 3 years, 2/3 of all jobs will require a college degree. And that's not just to vault ahead in a career, that's to get started in one. Currently, college graduates make over $1 million more than high school graduates over the course of their career, and that gap will increase. And more, the most promising careers, these new jobs that are being created, these new jobs that didn't exist 10 years ago, require more analytical communications and technological skills that a college degree can provide. So we know that the benefits from college, in addition to income, also create stronger families, better health, longer lifespans, and more civic engagement. All positive things that higher levels of education attainment bring. Now, we're not the only ones to figure this out. Now, across the globe, there is increasing investment in higher education. So, as people around the world look at what has happened in the United States over the last few decades, largely due to leading the world in educational attainment, they want to share in this. So, a position that we used to take for granted. When I graduated from college, the United States was first in the world in educational attainment. We had the highest percentage of people in the world with a college degree. Today, we're not in the top 15. And it's not because we've gone down, we haven't. It's because others are out-competing us. So if you are a family or an individual interested in economic opportunity and social mobility, or if you're a policymaker that's trying to figure out strategies for regional and national competitiveness, we have a lot of work to do in higher education. So CUNY has served the city and its students well over many, many years, as I mentioned. And the most recent example of this, which I hope everybody here is familiar with, but if you're not, I hope you will be soon, and that is a groundbreaking study on college and intergenerational mobility that was released earlier this year by a group of respected economists led by Raj Chetty from Stanford University. So they analyzed data on more than 30 million students, the first time anything like this has been done in this country, and their income levels and their education levels, and they looked at every college in the country and how they provided accessibility to lower income students and how they moved them into the middle class. So as summarized in a New York Times story, one of the New York Times stories I have on the wall in my office, CUNY propelled nearly 6 times the number of students from the lowest income levels to the middle class and beyond as all the Ivy League schools plus Duke, MIT, Chicago, and Stanford combined. More than 6 times the number at CUNY moved to the middle class. The CUNY held, of the top 10 colleges in the country for social mobility, CUNY was 6 of the 10. I want to add that SUNY also had places ranked very high. Stony Brook was 3rd in the nation on this list. So this is something in New York I think we can be proud of at both CUNY and at SUNY, that the investment we're making is paying this kind of a return for our students, for our families, and for our communities. So I think we would all agree, here's another premise, that talent is distributed evenly across demographic groups, income levels, every way you slice the human experience, talent is distributed evenly. Unfortunately, opportunity is not. And so whether it's preparation for college, whether it's access to the best schools, whether it's succeeding and getting a college degree or launching a great career, success is still too stubbornly correlated with wealth in this country. Here's some examples. According to Chetty's study, Ivy League colleges drew almost 15% of their students from the top 1% of income in this country. 15% came from the top 1%. Less than 15% came from the bottom 50% in income in this country at Ivy League schools. 15% from the top 1, less than 15 from the top 50. Second, move away from the Ivies. I don't want to pick on them. Second, higher education in general. And this one, I think, is even more important for those of us in this room. In 2014, those students who had earned bachelor's degrees by age 24, over half of them came from the top 25% of family income in this country. Just 10% of those college graduates came from the bottom quarter. Half came from the top, less than 10% from the bottom quartile of wealth. So that is, in many respects, our challenge. How do we even the playing field? These statistics are not just startling, but they are wholly unacceptable in a country that claims to cherish equality of opportunity. We've got to match the talent with the opportunity, and that's what underlies CUNY's mission today. So the difference maker for hundreds of thousands in New York City is CUNY, but it has to do more, much more. Too many students still require remediation before college, and it's often inadequately delivered. Too many students are allowed to fail or take way too long to graduate, and too many students don't have the knowledge and skills when they graduate to land great jobs and launch great careers. CUNY and other universities need to bridge this gap with better strategies. So with faculty, students, administrators, board members, we spent the better part of a year trying to understand what our challenge was and how we get there. So we came up with a plan. We call it Connected CUNY. And it fits that we're talking about this today with our colleagues from the State Department of Education, from the City Department of Education, and from other leaders from across the spectrum who are interested, from community-based organizations, philanthropies, because the reason we call this Connected CUNY is because we recognize we cannot possibly do this alone. We cannot possibly overcome the challenges that wealth creates, that readiness creates for us, that high-quality education and success in college creates with us unless we partner in a new way. More collaboration, more partnering in the past among the network of CUNY's colleges, and we have work to do there, between the university and other academic institutions, with state and government, with major industries and employers, with philanthropies, and especially with the departments of education. So to remain an engine of mobility on a scale that makes a difference, we have to change. So here's our plan. And this is very general. I want to give you the 10,000 foot. I hope that you'll be interested enough to go to our webpage, because at the front of CUNY's webpage, you can get a lot more detail, and you can drop downs, examples, metrics that we are committed to hitting. And if you really want to know more, you can talk to Amy McIntosh and Rachel Stevenson, who are here, who have taken on the task of leading the effort across CUNY to lead and coordinate the execution of this plan. So first, access, a fundamental value at CUNY for 170 years. We need to widen this considerably, and we need to double down on college readiness, working with our partners in the public schools. We already have numerous programs to help prepare thousands of New York City high school students for college, including one that I'm very proud of, with over 25,000 students in the high schools today taking college courses for free, getting credit, preparing for college, helping accelerate that path to graduation. But why don't we have more? We need to scale up those programs, early college and college now, and others working with the DOE to broaden their reach so that more students know about the opportunities, the imperative, I would suggest, of higher education, and get the skills that they need to be successful. We spent the last year doing major reforms in our developmental education programs so that fewer students will enter remediation, and that those who do will exit more quickly and will more quickly be taking credit-bearing courses so they can succeed. We're embarking on exciting plans this summer to extend CUNY's reach considerably through the use of technology. Here's one reason why we would do that. There are over 800,000 people in New York City alone who have some college credit but no degree. We have to figure out how to meet them, whether they're job-bound, family-bound, place-bound, whatever it is. We need to be able to reach them, and technology is one of the ways that I think we can do this. We have to provide new pathways for them. And finally, I'd say on the access point that we've experienced the largest number of applicants for college this year in our history. We were up 9% this summer in undergraduate applications, while many places around the country are losing numbers. So that's a terrific thing, and I think there are a number of reasons for it. I think the Excelsior Scholarship program that the governor championed is helping SUNY and CUNY tremendously to attract new students. I think that the mayor's program on providing free applications for CUNY has helped tremendously as well. But there are many, we need to continue this momentum. This 9% is a great boost for us, but we need to find ways to continue this. Second, for years in this country, there was a tremendous focus on access. The great growth in Pell Grants, the College is Possible campaign led by the American Council on Education a decade or so ago. Strangely enough, only more recently, at least to my mind, has the focus shifted from just access to completion. Has the equation become not only do you need to get in to college, we need to provide that affordability and that access, but you need to get out, and you need to get out successfully. And this is one of the areas where CUNY has much more work to do. We have to increase our graduation rates at the community colleges and the senior colleges. Our campuses are adopting a new culture of completion, and our students will be the beneficiaries. So we are building on years of evidence and analysis and putting it in place to provide greater support so our students stay on track and get valuable diplomas in a timely way. And so I can tell you today that I am committed to doubling CUNY's community college graduation rate within just a few years. We will double it. The ASAP program at CUNY, which is a national leader, and 3 years ago had just 4,000 students, next year we'll have 25,000 students, including full ASAP implementation at Bronx Community College. So I've been tired of hearing since I got here that ASAP's a nice program, but it can't possibly scale. We are going to prove the naysayers wrong, and New York City will lead all major cities in the country in community college graduation. We know other states, leading states, California, Ohio, Virginia, who are focused on the same kind of agenda are adopting ASAP now. And we are consulting there with MDRC. We've been doing this for several years in Ohio, but now doing it in California, Virginia, and in upstate New York. This is an important, demonstrated, successful, and I would submit not expensive when you look at the reduction in the cost of degree, not expensive program that's a terrific investment in our college students. And we are now in the second year of piloting this program in our senior colleges. There's no reason why these same elements of intrusive advising, of free Metro cards, of a book fund, of cohort-based education can't work at senior colleges as well as community colleges. So third, there's really three pieces of this. So temporally, this is how I think about it. CUNY is engaged in a lifetime education partnership with our students. So we are looking at birth, with early childhood, universal pre-K, partnering with the public schools in New York, helping students be college ready. Second, we want those students to get out in a timely way. We will not be successful if they don't graduate. And third, the third piece of this, and the third place where I would set to you that opportunity doesn't match talent, is helping those successful students in college launch careers. They often don't have the networks, the family connections, the alma mater connections that will help them launch those careers and be competitive. So we are engaged in a program of expanding in a major way internships and other experiential learning programs for our students, working closely with key sectors in the economy to build elements into our curriculum, to develop the networks that we need so that taken together, these efforts will provide our graduates the skills, the experiences, the professional networks, the resumes, the confidence that they need to excel in careers in industries in New York. such as finance, healthcare, information technology, arts and culture. In one notable case, we're focusing on the long overdue effort to attract and equip more women to succeed in information technology through partnerships with Cornell Tech, Verizon, IBM, and Reviture. It won't surprise anybody in this room, but I think it would surprise most people to know that the percentage of women in IT jobs has actually been declining with all the focus on STEM. So this is why programs like this, the Whitney program at CUNY with Cornell Tech and Verizon and others, is so important to attract young girls while they're in school to become interested in technology, to provide opportunities to be exposed in the workplace, and then scholarships to CUNY so that they can fulfill their dreams. So the Connected CUNY framework is a roadmap for CUNY, but I also think that it could provide broader guidance for higher education leaders as they design strategies for addressing our country's needs in the future. I'm convinced that if we invest, the public sector, and increasingly the private sector through philanthropy and foundations, I know many are here today and many have been great partners with CUNY, I think that will only increase and only needs to increase. Because I am convinced that if you want to make an investment in the future of New York City, now I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, 40% of our undergraduates born in another country, 50% with a family income level of $30,000 or less, 40% first in their family to go to college. If you want to invest in the future of New York City, that is the future of New York City. And there is no better case for investment that can be made than that by CUNY, I believe. Our graduates offer immense returns, whether it's Nobel Prizes, 13 of them, whether it's Rhodes Scholars Marshall Truman, more MacArthur Genius Awards than any public university in the country other than Berkeley. That's CUNY. That's the reward we get from the students who come to CUNY. But mainly, they are the lifeblood, the energy, and the engine of New York City. Our faculty are engaged in groundbreaking initiatives in areas ranging from sustainable energy to prison reform, to HIV prevention, to immigrant rights, to early childhood education. And as a former English major, I'm especially proud that 2 of the last 3 Pulitzer Prizes in poetry went to CUNY scholars. 2 of the last 3 across the country at CUNY. Who knew besides a STEM engine, it's a poetry engine. So in short, CUNY students and faculty deliver the leadership, the creativity, the drive that make New York, New York. And our job, the commitment of me, the presidents at CUNY, the members of the Board of Trustees, and all of us who support public higher education, is to continue, but at much higher levels and much more effectively, to offer the access and the opportunity and the success to many, many more New Yorkers. I believe we have the right plan, and I think we're well on the way to executing it. And I thank you for this opportunity today to talk a little bit about it, and I hope you'll learn more about Connected CUNY. Thank you.